You're watching Worldview Tube, a Brannon House television network.
The Tamara Scott Show. Tamara has served as the state director for one of America's largest pro-life, pro-family public policy organizations. In 2007, Tamara was named one of America's top 10 most influential kingmakers by the Religion News Association. Tamara has spent years proclaiming and defending the values of a Christian worldview that is the foundation of our constitutional republic. And now, here is your host, Tamara Scott.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am Tamara Scott. I'm laughing because my poor producer, I am yapping in his ear, giving him instructions right before we go live. This poor guy, he does such good work and makes the show look so terrific and gets everything there, even when I don't get it to him correctly. So my thanks to the producers here at WVW-TV, and Thomas, thank you for just being the rock star of our show and making everything happen technically. So I am Tamara Scott Show. I don't have the regular, I'm in studio, but I just thought this was a little lighter than our other one. It's just a little darker anymore. I can flip it back and forth and show you, but I just think this is a little lighter. And so I just felt like being light today, right? We've got so much coming at us. There's so much heavy. I do a prayer call. I do 2 or 3 prayer calls. And people, they just say people are heavy right now. There's a lot of hurt out there. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. And so as we tell you, we bring you the headlines. We help you live God's word when the headlines hit home, because if God expects you to live through it, he's directed you how to do it somewhere in his word. And we don't want you to be discouraged and in despair. We want you to look to him for direction, not be disillusioned, but to be disciplined in what you're supposed to be doing, and trust him. Trust him for that plan and purpose he has for you, that he had for you before you were formed in the womb. And we know, if nothing more from 2020, that if we allow whoever it is, the oligarch, whoever it is, they will keep us off our feet, unsteady, vulnerable, and malleable. So we're saying, know what's happening around there. We may talk about some of the headlines today. We may talk about Tibet, praying for what is going on there. I was listening on my way in at 6 a.m. in the morning about the relief and the search programs and just what's going on there. And I'm certain I cannot comprehend it living in Iowa with cornfields. Tornadoes are our worst. So I can offer no words, but I can offer prayer, right? Talk less, pray more. My friend Gary Miller's ministry. And then we may talk about Ukraine. We've got our guest today is a rock star. And so it's one of those, I can ask him anything and we can talk about pretty much anything. He's got a good grounding and good information from all of his years of experience that he can speak to us about. It's Dennis Viren, rock star Dennis Viren. Okay, so where's my book? I've got the, it's over there. I've got the image for you if you want to put up photo 1, Thomas. That is the book In Game. And I'm telling you, get the book. Get the book. I don't read fiction. I don't have time for fiction. Life is too short. Although I do read a lot of government stuff, so maybe it's fiction, right? But this gives you the game. It is the end game. It is the plan. When we're talking about transhumanism, he already uncovered it a couple years back in this book. We're talking about famines. We're talking about water shortages. Bill Gates is now talking about how we could lose 2020 in 2027 millions of people. I think he even said the B word, billions of people, to water shortage. And it will depend on who owns the water, who has the water rights in America. I'm like, okay, what did Bill just buy that he wants us to invest in? Right? The same guy who is apparently saying, oh gosh, these ticks and this new disease, alpha-gal, whatever it is that you can't eat red meat, but he just happened to invest in lab meat. Just, not saying anything. Yeah, I am. All right. So my guest, Dennis Viren, is joining us today. Dennis, thank you so much for being willing to come on the Tamara Scott Show.
Hi, Tamara. Thank you so much for having me. I'm always pleased and honored to be on your show. Thank you.
I love it when you come on because we can talk about anything. I'll just grab my little tinfoil tiara right now. Oh, it doesn't show when I'm on. Isn't that funny? There it is. It doesn't show when I have my background in the back. Isn't that weird? Huh. All right. So all these tinfoil tiaras, we were laughing. I had Tom DeWeese on yesterday. You know Tom DeWeese.
Yeah.
He was one of the first warning about the biometric scans before 2006. We were talking about it. He was warning biometric scans, and people were like poo-hooing him. And now we're talking about AI data centers being big enough to store the data because they're building biometric profiles on all of us, our children,
Yep.
all of us.
Every single bit, every one of us will be constantly, and already are constantly surveilled, but not just broadly, but deeply. And in every way you can think of, if there's an edge for surveillance that's out there, someone is going to try to exploit it and fill what is perceived to be a gap in that surveillance, because every bit of your data about you, about your biology, about your activity, about your beliefs, your thoughts, your expressions, that's valuable to someone. And they're wanting to track it, they're wanting to capture it, and unfortunately, once it's all captured, it can be used against you.
That's the truth, isn't it? It can and will be used against you. You know this. It's the same reason they give you what is it, that little creed you take if you ever get arrested. You understand that anything you say can and will be used against you. So expect it. And this is the issue with the warrantless search. You've never been read your rights. There is no warrant to come after you. You could be innocent as the day is long. These people, Dennis, these people who put back, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to fear.
You know where else they used to say that? East Germany.
I know. I know. Okay, so with that, Thomas, if we can do it quickly, and I've got to get back. I found my supplement. With that, let's go to the email I sent you today for Dennis, Thomas, and I've got to get mine in front of me so I can tell you what number this is, but it's the flock heirs. Can we just, no. Yeah, let's go to the flock heirs. Let's go to the flock.
Is this a 2 or a 7? Is this a 0 or an O? To a license plate reader camera, it can be hard to tell. Regardless of the mistake, the camera will still take a picture, still try to identify the car, and still report the data. In its marketing materials, the leading ALPR company claims their cameras accurately capture 93 out of 100 license plates that pass by. That means that 7 out of 100 license plates are incorrectly captured. And if, as claimed, they scan 20 billion plates per month, that means they have 1.4 billion incorrect captures every month. Combining these numbers with human error, it's no surprise that people are being wrongly pulled over, held at gunpoint, or even put behind bars for almost a month. If the system misidentifies your license plate or incorrectly reports your car's make and model, you could trigger a hot list for a crime you didn't commit. With all these cameras, law enforcement is watching you, suspect or not. It is past time to put constitutional guardrails on their use.
Plus, then the onus to prove your innocence falls on the victim, the innocent person, rather than the footwork, legwork law enforcement used to do to proving a case. Following the evidence, instead, they just land here and fit a case into what they see. Okay, so Dennis, can I jump to one more? And I want you to help me explain this. This is the tape that talks about Israel. Thomas, you have to help me find the number. I believe it's 16. Number 16, clear down at the bottom. This is a young kid, and people are like, I just heard today, well, you can't believe anything you see on Facebook. I'm telling you what, whether it's Nick Shirley, whether was O'Keefe, this is where we're getting a lot of the truth because the media refuses to address it until they can't shut it down. All right, let's play this video. Dennis, listen to it and help me understand it.
A major flock investor has been linked to an Israeli cyber firm that can hack cameras and even alter footage. Andreessen Horowitz is the prominent venture capital firm that led Flock Safety's $275 million funding round. But it's also a primary financial backer of Toka, an Israeli cyber intelligence firm capable of hacking CCTV networks and even altering live video feeds. Critics point out this devastating conflict of interest. The same investment group funding America's largest private license plate reader database is backing technology specifically designed to manipulate surveillance footprints. Toka builds software for intelligence and law enforcement agencies and was co-founded by the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, a very close Epstein associate. Its platform is able to hack video streams and completely alter or rewrite footage without leaving a digital forensic footprint. Remember, independent cybersecurity researchers previously proved that Flock's physical hardware is very easy to compromise. An attacker with physical access to a Flock camera could obtain root access in under 30 seconds via vulnerabilities in its internal physical hardware components.
I will put that on the Tamara Scott Show page. But at 14 to 22 seconds, he says Israeli software firm capable of altering live video feeds. At 43 into that video, the platform is able to hack, video stream, and alter or rewrite footage without leaving a digital footprint. Dennis?
Yes, Toka is a real company. It was founded, or I should say, it was co-founded by Ehud Barak, former Israeli prime minister. I believe it was 2017 or 2018 in which the company was founded. It's real. It exists. Its customers are governments. Whether or not that boils down to local police in the U.S., I doubt very much at this point in the U.S. But its clients are governments, largely state national governments, and it provides these services largely, it seems, intended for espionage currently. Its entire repertoire of capabilities are not known to the public. Because of who its clients are. It's a relatively secretive outfit, but you can find it. It does have a website. It talks quite a bit about what its products and services are, and it's a real ongoing concern in terms of as a business in Israel. So pretty much everything that young man has to say is real. And if you cared to look into it, you don't have to just believe what he has to say. Toka has been covered by a few mainstream or near mainstream news organizations, so you can read about it, you can find out about it. It's not mythology, it's real, and it's part of what's happening out there with regard to AI. If you doubt that this can be done, for instance, altering live feeds and things of that sort, I invite you to think a little bit about some of the tools that are out there right now from outfits like Google. Nano Banana, for instance, is one of their image AI generators, or another one is Cdance. I think it's version 2.5. There are others out there as well. These AI tools for image creation and manipulation can, in moments, give you a video or an image of something that is photorealistic with increasingly great accuracy. So we're moving past the point where it used to have trouble with hands and fingers and whatnot. We're getting to the point now where these tools are getting much better at developing photorealism in video and in photography. And they can, if what we see in the public, what's available behind the paywall to companies like Toka, is probably of greater fidelity than what the public has access to. And so the technology exists to do exactly what this young man is saying in terms of manipulating live feeds. And it's only getting better, and it's getting better rapidly. And the rapid part of that is the data center build out. The more data centers you have, the more processing units you can have in those data centers, the more data storage you can have in those data centers, the faster you can do these image creation routines, and the faster you can implement them in a variety of ways. We are far, far, far down the path where reality is becoming optional in a lot of ways for people who want to use tools to manipulate. And it's unfortunate, but we're there. The dystopia has arrived. People are starting to realize it, but it's more advanced than most people know, I think.
Thomas, we need to take that answer and make that a real right there. That was incredible. Thank you very much, Dennis. This is what I mean. I could ask you anything and you can give us well thought out, credible information. Your point about the AI data centers, I keep trying to warn people, these, I'm trying not to call names, these individuals, I was going to say foolish individuals, who will put things on my Facebook page. These are conservatives about being swallowed up in Chinese propaganda because we oppose the convention center, the data centers. I have video of brown water coming out of faucets. They dispel that. There's an excuse. We have, people crying because their homes are being destroyed and property values. Anecdotal. They want to just ignore. But to what you're talking about, they also say the AI data center, if we don't like AI data centers, we should not be on line. We should not use Google, Amazon. We should not have a cell phone. That's BS, because what we're talking about, we've had those things for decades, not an issue. What we're talking about now is the video creation, the video manipulation, the biometric profile, the storage of data, the collection, the cataloging, and then the selling our profiles as a commodity without our permission. That's why we're seeing this growth in data centers, right?
Absolutely. And it has frightening implications. I think increasingly so, even for everyday Americans and others as well, because when you have this image creation and manipulation that is so well done and so quick and cheap to do, cheap, I think I need to address that really quickly. People don't realize how inexpensive it is. You can generate hundreds of images that are photorealistic using some of these tools for pennies per image, sometimes less than a penny per image. And I'm not speaking from something that I've only heard of. I've done it. I've experimented with it. I've used the tools, so I know how much it costs. It's phenomenally inexpensive. And this goes for generation of video too. It's really cheap. I'm by no means am I a rich person, but I can go ahead and I can generate minutes and minutes of video in 4K. It costs pennies. I can generate it in HD. It costs pennies. I can generate hundreds of images for a few bucks. It's not expensive. It's proliferating, so you can do that. The other thing people don't realize is you can easily clone your voice. And if you can clone your voice, you can clone other people's voice. So the propaganda possibilities, the manipulation possibilities, the ability to impute actions, beliefs, and statements to other people that are not true and do not exist. This capability is it's online, and it's rapidly getting faster and cheaper every moment. And so we enter into a world where what is real is no longer easily discernible. And truth, as Tamara talks on her show all the time, truth is the baseline for our civilization. If we are post-truth, no one can believe anything, we are in real big trouble. Think about it this way. In ages past, let's say 1950s to the founding of the American Republic, if you take a look at that time period, the United States was what has been called a high-trust society. And that was why, even into the 1970s, in many towns, cities across the country, people left their front doors open. They never locked their cars. People left their keys in the ignition. It was a high-trust society. You didn't have to worry about people stealing everything from you the moment you dropped your guard. We no longer live in that high-trust society, and trust is based on truth. And we are now, with this AI business, image generation, voice generation, the ability to manipulate reality in fundamental ways and mislead people very thoroughly, is post-truth. We can no longer have a high-trust society under those conditions. And that creates the conditions for the implementation of something like Flock, or a company we haven't mentioned, Axon, which is a competitor to Flock, similar in many ways, but even more even more diabolical, perhaps, or Toka, and all the other companies that are out there like that. We might mention Palantir has some things going on that are concerning. So when we eliminate the ability to have a high-trust society, and then we start taking advantage of that to build a complete all-encompassing, social-wide, nationwide, worldwide panopticon, we have gone beyond the most fevered dreams of George Orwell or of Aldous Huxley or of Philip K. Dick, and we've entered in a world of dystopia that we can hardly even begin to imagine.
Well said, my friend. We've got to go to our break. We're already over. We've got to go to break. We'll be right back. There's just so much to unpack. Stay tuned.
I need to tell you about our Bella Grace. The slender little sachet has the elixir with the collagen, astaxanthin, and cat's claw. In 2022, got an award for helping with cognitive function, and in 2023 in the sports arena for active ingredients, nutrition, and format. But the best is what we hear from so many of you. You have noticed better joint health, improved mobility, less eye strain and fatigue, helping with computer vision syndrome, visual acuity, depth perception, alleviating dry eyes, but also helping with your immunity, your stress management, endurance, less fatigue overall, not just eye fatigue, muscle recovery, mental clarity, focus, and gut health. Then there's the fun list. The firmer, smoother skin texture, fewer fine lines and wrinkles, improved skin elasticity, decreased age spots, more even skin tone, improved skin hydration, reduced oxidative stress, healthier nails, less cellulite, hair health, better sleep. Who wouldn't want any of those? Call them beauty in items if you wish, but who doesn't want to feel a little bit better or more confident when you're going to present in the public square, when you're going to speak at a city council? And who just doesn't want to feel a little healthier? Maybe they're just byproducts of being healthier. More information at tamara.bellagraceglobal.com, tamara.bellagraceglobal.com.
I would love to have dinner with Dennis and his wife and my husband some night. It would be one of those dinners where you go at 5 o'clock and you're still at the table at 9 o'clock, just talking about so much. And I would hope they would enjoy it every bit as much as I would. I would love it. Let's go. This is a video we've played, but this is Hustle B video. I don't know who this guy is, but he's talking about BlackRock. First off, let me just say this. At 136, we're going to change in behaviors. You have to force behaviors. Well, let's just play. 136. These are the big wig guru tech people.
One thing we're asking companies, you have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. What we are doing internally is, if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted. Okay,
we're doing the same thing.
And so it's just you have to force behaviors.
Stop right there. Let's jump to 154. Same video. 154.
Behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said.
And to make matters worse, Axon CEO Rick Smith also sees himself as a hero.
At Axon,
let's jump to 223.
We operate the largest connected camera network of public safety cameras and sensors in the world. Our mission extends beyond just transparency and accountability after events. We now have the potential to proactively safeguard society, promptly dispatching assistance.
Yeah, promptly dispatching systems and deterring violence. Sure, because the prisons are so safe, because they've got videos all the time that monitor people and guards to correct you when you're wrong. So it's safe there, right? These people are playing God. They think they're God. But I want to come back to forcing behaviors. And we've got a video somewhere where Yuval Harari a couple years ago said something about God. And I'm not talking about the God in the sky. I'm talking about the clouds. He's talking about the clouds being God. So they're forcing behavior. Dennis, do you want me to go to the next video or the next discussion, or you want to talk about this forcing behavior?
Well, we should probably talk about forcing behavior just a bit, because it goes back to an economist, a classical economist by the name of Jeremy Bentham. And Jeremy Bentham was, one of the great economists, actually, but he also was a guy who described a complete surveillance methodology, which he termed the panopticon prison. And he intended that, when he thought of it in his essay on the subject, as literally a building. How do you design a building that you can use to make sure that all of the inmates, whoever they may be, which could be hospital patients, could be prisoners because they're criminals, could be children in school. He said this was applicable to many different types of situations. But how do you design a building so that people are constantly surveilled all of the time? And so he came up with a building plan for that, and the objective would be to control behaviors and to force people to behave in ways that the people running that particular institution, that building, desired. And he said something in that essay that was really, really important. He said, we might want to achieve that within this building, but we can't. It's impossible to achieve even within this building. So we have to make them being the prisoners or the people incarcerated in the building, we have to make them believe they're being observed all the time. That way they will self-modify their own behavior. Now, he said this was impossible to do in a single building, but we are now doing it outside of every building throughout the entire bit of society. Everywhere is being surveilled all the time, and increasingly so. So much to the effect that you no longer even have to be constrained to believe that you're being surveilled, because you are in fact being surveilled and tracked and logged, and all of your information is being accumulated in a database all the time. So we are therefore inherently limiting your freedom of action, your freedom of thought, your freedom of speech. Your fundamental freedoms are being manipulated and limited without you having to choose to do that. That is an affront to your rights as just people, as humans, as spelled out in the Declaration of Independence by the great Thomas Jefferson. And as Americans, this is antithetical to our experience as Americans. But yes, this is how your choice is being limited, how your freedom of action is being limited by this constant surveillance.
And back to the real time changing the footage. Remember, Yuval Harari, you and I did the interview with playing parts of that video, it's The Silent End 2030. And he says children born after 2020 won't know if the experience was real and authentic or virtual.
Yeah.
This is what they're planning. Okay. To give us the name of the, again, Jeremy, who did you say?
Jeremy Bentham. And
B-E-N?
Bentham, Bentham.
So I tell you folks, this is where I learn. You see me taking notes. This is my classroom, but we're giving this information to you as well so that you can have it. Dennis didn't know I was going to ask him this question today, and he just has this information. It's amazing to me. All right. So I want to come back. Thank you for that great explanation on the monitoring. It's such a farce. I mean, God gives us free will, and these guys are not going to give us free will, by the way. God is a forgiving God, full of mercy. Mercy's new each morning. These guys are not going to be forgiving, and they're not going to be able to control us, but it's not going to go well when they don't. I've told you this. I think I need to put this on a t-shirt. They will sell you these cameras as safety, and they're exploiting the few victims they've helped. The grandma with dementia, the child who was taken, by a estranged dad. They're gonna tell you those. You could do that with the warrant process and with following a legal constitutional process. You can do that, but they're exploiting that for tyranny. They're exploiting victims for the sake of tyranny. And that's from John Boucher out of Texas, that he said that, and he's got it. It's perfect. His little series, Are You Flocking Me? Are You Flocking Kidding Me? I think that's his series, and it's perfect on his Facebook page. They're easy to watch. All right. So that's how they're going to sell this, for safety, but it is for your surveillance so that they can force your subservience. That's what this is about. That's what this is about.
That's right on. That's exactly right.
Thank you. That's mine. Thank you. All right. We'll give it God. It's God's. All right. So let's go back then to something we're going to talk about tomorrow more in depth. But you mentioned Axon. Thank you. Most people don't, because when we have the good somebody canceling, which, by the way, that reminds me, let's go to the top. I am just all over the board, but I'm having fun. Number two, well, number three. Number three. The article, Flock was canceled in Rolling Meadows. It was canceled because Alderman Jennifer Venzanero demanded that the Atlantic-based vendor produce a list of Illinois' municipalities who are using the company's new self-audit tool. So then the Rolling Meadows office officials can decide who is seeing their data and who we can uncheck if we so choose, because it's not just your local, it's out-of-state agencies. It's and Dennis, I sent you one. I didn't give it to Thomas, but 400 and some agencies had checked into one police department's 400 and some out-of-state agencies checking in on one police department's cameras.
Incredible.
This one, currently, the city shares license plate information with other police departments in state, having shut down access to out-of-state law enforcement agencies a year ago when a Texas sheriff's office tapped into Mount Prospect's cameras to search for a woman who had had an abortion. I am pro-life.
Yeah.
But this is wrong. This is a violation. I am pro-life. But even for things that we may want to stand for or stand against, we don't have the right to invade someone's privacy any more than they should ours. Yeah. All right. Good news, Oshkosh, in your state, they killed the $8 billion surveillance company contract less than a day after the council approved it, because your police chief figured out that something wasn't as it was supposed to be. The information wasn't what they were told it would be. And so he had the courage, after they just approved it, to cancel it. That is leadership.
Yeah. There is some good news along some of those lines, at least in northeast Wisconsin, where Oshkosh is located. Another city in northeast Wisconsin, the larger city of northeast Wisconsin, is Appleton. And it's my understanding that the city of Appleton turned off the Flock network in the city. Now, does that mean they'll take Flock down and move it out of the city in perpetuity? I don't know the answer to that just yet, but that's a good step forward. Turn it off. And I think, you see towns and cities like Appleton and Oshkosh doing that because, the populations there, and I'm speaking from knowledge because I've spent a lot of time in both cities, pretty well educated, pretty standard, brought up in American values. They're people who are solid Americans, working class folks who go every day to work and, work hard for their families, and they understand that this is a threat. And I think that you can extrapolate that to the rest of the country. And that's, I think, a good point I want to make. I was thinking about this before we started our show. The vast majority of 200 and some million Americans are still Americans who understand their rights and freedoms, and it's going to be really hard to sell a company like Flock or like Axon on across the board to all of these Americans and say, you need to have this for your safety. Now, the media and the big investors like BlackRock, who are trying to use financial engineering to shoehorn the World Economic Forum program into Americans' lives, they get a lot of press. They're big, they're loud, and people can take from that, oh my gosh, there's nothing I can do. It's inevitable. This is going to be inflicted upon me no matter what I think. But the fact is, you and your neighbors probably agree that this is a bad idea. And so work our republic as it was intended. Make sure your local authorities know you're in opposition, that your neighbors let them know you're in opposition to these things, that the politicians who are going to be going along to get along and implement these things get voted out of office, and can carry that right up through your representatives in Congress and through your governors in your state and through all of your local officials. Make sure you act as a citizen as our founding fathers intended, and we don't have to let this be inflicted upon us.
So the good news is people are responding, and people have lost their spots over at the data centers. The bad news is conservatives, Republicans have lost their spots, which leaves the city to even more blue liberal leftists. And that is a fright. So which is why we need Republicans to hear this, uphold the Constitution, heed the voices of your voters and constituents, and stop. I'm not even saying no data centers. Some people are, and I understand why. But I'm saying uphold the Constitution. They have to fall within the limitations of government in the Constitution and the liberties for the individual. We're out of time. We got to go to our break. When we come back, we'll actually maybe get to that Axon, which I said I was going to go to, and then I got caught up in a rabbit trail. But it's all good. It's all so good. We'll be right back. Stay tuned, everybody.
Do you like drinking toxins that could cause cancer, inflammation, and all kinds of other autoimmune diseases? Of course you don't. Well, much of our water in America is full of toxins. That's a proven fact. WorldviewWater.net. WorldviewWater.net is your solution so that you can drink good, clean water. In fact, I give it to all my 3 fur babies, all my 3 dogs. I have one under my kitchen sink, one of these filters, as well as on my shower. WorldviewWater.net.
This is our new NutraSwish, Numi NutraSwish. You can find more information at Numi, neumi.com/TTSS, neumi.com/TTSS. One of the products we offer, because you all have different preferences and respond differently to different items. So this is our lavender. It's for ladies anywhere along your journey. No hormones in it, but if you're taking a hormonal supplement, you might want to check with your doctor. The blue is for anyone over the age of 18. It has glutathione, which is a antioxidant, helps with over 400 cellular functions, and it helps detox heavy metals, forever chemicals, graphene oxide, one of those terms we learned after 2020, and it helps detox glyphosate, the good glutathione helps detox glyphosate. Glyphosate is found in ag chemicals or lawn chemicals, and some are very concerned about possible links to cancers, HPVs, and diabetes. But the blue bottle, the glutathione, helps detox heavy metals, forever chemicals, graphene oxide, and glyphosate. Then there's the mango colored bottle you see on your screen. Numi Neuro helps with your mind, your memory, and your focus. Now, again, after 2020, we heard something about brain fog, a term we'd not heard before. Whether it's from a virus or a vaccine, many have found relief, a little help with Numi Neuro, the mango colored bottle. When used with the blue bottle, it is so positive that the American Brain Council wrote about it and it looked like an endorsement. Though we're told they don't write endorsements, it was simply a positive review of what they saw. You can find more information at neumi.com/TTSS. neumi.com/TTSS for the Tamara Scott Show. Why? Because we want you feeling your best. And when you use that TTSS link, you help us be our best.
Okay. I always like to come to you with a calm voice. I don't want to rile you. There's just so much here. I just want to get to it, and I want to get to all of it. Well, I've got Dennis because I want to ask him about these things. Oh, say a prayer for my husband. Can you imagine when I'm like this all the time? All right. So let's go back. We were talking about building these biometric profiles. It's not with your permission. It's private companies. They're gathering a host of ways. They're gathering it on your children. And supposedly this is a war with China over the AI war. No. They've got, what, 500 now? We have 5,300 data centers. We've already won that war. But by accumulating all this data, you are putting us at risk to be hacked by China even more. That's the war. If the war is police state, we're winning that one too, by the way. And was it you, Dennis, or who was it saying that China now has fences in cities and you're only allowed to go to certain core and you can't step outside that fencing because the AI can keep control of where you're at? Was that you or somebody else telling me that?
I think that was someone else, but I mean, that's right in accord with the World Economic Forum and the United Nations plan for 15-minute cities, which is what they want all cities to be like, not just in China. And there's been movements here in the U.S. To implement the beginnings of these 15-minute city platforms right here in American cities. And that's not new either. That goes back now a few years, 4 or 5 years ago. We've already seen some of that motion toward that taking place. So, if you want to live in a city where you can only be constrained to go within 15 minutes of your home, well, more power to you, I guess. But I think that eliminates your freedom of motion, your freedom of movement, your freedom to choose where you want to go and when you want to go. And, you can dig into some of these 15-minute city plans and you can see just how diabolically Orwellian they are. I brought up East Germany earlier. Those of you who were born since 1989 probably have no idea what East Germany was, but it was the fully experimental Marxist dictatorship, taken to the nth degree in East Germany, behind the Iron Curtain with the Warsaw Pact nations up until the end of the Cold War. And it had the most thorough surveillance state system that had ever been implemented anywhere on the planet to that point. And you could not travel. Like, if you wanted to visit another city in East Germany, you had to get permission from the government to do that, let alone if you wanted to, heaven forbid, travel somewhere to visit relatives who might be in West Germany. Oh my gosh. Now we're talking about doing that within cities at 15 minutes within your house. You have to get permission, or you're just not going to be able to go to, let's say, the Walmart that's on the other side of town. You're using too many resources to do that. You can't do it. That's crazy, but the surveillance system is being built to implement that. That's what we're talking about.
All around us. Now, you mentioned Walmart. You had to go there because they have the cart. Thomas, can you put up the link with the Walmart patent, shopping cart patent? This isn't so your wheels turn better and don't get stuck, as they always do. This is so that they can read your pulse, take your temperature, because I go to Walmart to make sure I'm in good health. They don't have a HIPAA protection. They have no right to this business. This is yours. And they say it's so that if you're having a stroke, they might be able to tell someone. If you're having a stroke, somebody's probably going to notice. I mean, I think there are other reasons they're doing this. Dennis, you want to offer, and then we'll go to the Ford patent.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you why they're doing it. If you can get that biometric data while someone is shopping, you can build a heat map. These are what they're called. They're actually called heat maps. Traditionally, they're used to show where you linger and how you move through a space, whether that be a digital space like a website or a physical space like a store. But once you have biometric data integrated into that heat map, you can start to infer feelings and beliefs. Because let's say your pulse quickens as you look at a new movie that's been released on DVD. Believe it or not, there are still some DVDs I think I've seen in Walmart. Uh, but maybe it's that new kind of shampoo your pulse is quickening, and you can map that by gender and age, and you can gather all of that information, and you can map that against location within the store and start developing intel on how people are actually behaving within that store, not because you've asked them through a survey, but because you're measuring their biometric data. And now you've collected that information. Now you can use it and sell it. And it's really a dramatic invasion of privacy. And it's going to play into, in the very near future when this is implemented, into demand pricing, whereas they already know more about how you shop and what you buy and even where you buy it, because all of that's been tracked by store cards for decades now. So that information is available for purchase by other corporate entities. They can align all of that with AI and make very close predictive assessments of what you're going to be interested in and how you're going to react to it, and therefore give you perhaps a higher price than your neighbor might get on the same good or service. And this is where we're at. We're at the beginning of the implementation of this technology. It's happening now, and it's going to become ubiquitous unless people are aware and react against it in the near future.
Not to mention the smart dust. There's a patent on that too. And Wells Fargo, we talked about this a while ago on the show, it describes the smart duo of biometric payment verification, smart dust. But there are also things they can read about you that way. Signal trace. This is the problem with the the ALPRs. They're not just reading your license plate, but everything that has any type of a Wi-Fi, a device, a watch, anybody in your car, all of that is being read all the time. Now, if we lived in, what was it? The founding father said something about if men were angels, we wouldn't need government.
Yep.
But the problem is government is also men. And government is not always our friend. And I don't know what movie it was. Who Watches the Watchers? Do you remember that movie?
I know of the title, but I've never actually seen it. Unfortunately, I haven't seen that many movies lately.
Well, this
in
is
recent
older,
years.
and it's hard to get me to sit down and watch one. And especially one that's kind of well, anyway, I want a happy ending. But anyway, all right, so let's go to the supplement, Thomas. I want to talk about the Axon glove, the Axon. Okay, so we'll talk about the gloves, but Axon. All right, so this is, okay, so that's the footage camera. Okay, that's the whole article. So I think you have to go to the bottom to talk about what I'm going to talk about. The very, very bottom, it says, so they're talking about Axon writing police reports. The problem was that article talks about the fact that the software hallucinates and is racially biased. Gee, there's issues. And people are talking about the dangers here. So we'll hop to the bottom. And it says, this woman says, folks of color will suffer worst and first because the cameras don't read as well, or there are more errors. Then somebody else says, this is going to be seriously messing up people's lives. AI is notoriously error prone and police reports are official records. It will mess up people's lives. But this was written in 2024, by the way. But if you go back the next paragraph, and this would be, I think, the second to the bottom paragraph. This is the one I want you to hit. The government's not always your friends. Axon is a private company. Government contracts with private companies. Axon came out, this is talking about their troubling reputation when you talked about Axon, because cities are canceling Flock, but they're bringing in Axon or Motorola. You can't change one constitutional violation for another. If they're collecting data, it is still an issue. And Flock is now saying, well, we'll only keep it for 7 days, not 30. You shouldn't have it, period. You shouldn't have it to begin with. And even if you only keep it for an hour, people can hop in, hack it, take it, and it's in somebody's storage file long from now, where they can manipulate it or do whatever they want. But Axon's troubling reputation in 2022, 9 out of 12 International Ethics Board members resigned following the announcement that prompt reversal of having taser welding drones patrol U.S. schools. yes, I'm going to send my kids into a school to be zapped by a taser drone when we admit that there are issues with these cameras. We're seeing them 1.4 billion false flags, false reads, people being pulled over at gunpoint. We're only just blessed that no one has been shot in one of these. Your thoughts on this, Dennis?
Well, like many things, I think, let's go back to COVID and think about how drones were peremptorily used for a little bit there to guard beaches from, the unwary Americans who thought, well, I can't go to work today because I'm not an essential worker, so I'll just go sit on the beach. And we were sending drones out to chase people off of beaches. That fortunately didn't continue for very long, I don't think. But you can imagine in left-wing states having taser-based drones controlled by AI that you can program in a future, COVID-style pandemic dystopia. And instead of just, surveilling people on beaches, you can just go ahead and taser them. This sounds like it's a jest, but it's not just drones, which you see in warfare are already becoming a major problem from the way they're being utilized. You see the humanoid-style androids, bots being developed by, I think it's Unitree and a few other Chinese companies. Of course, we have that happening here in the U.S. as well, but it's really taking place in China at an advanced, rapid pace. And all of these things can be and will be absolutely will be weaponized with either lethal for warfare or non-lethal for human, civilian control technologies. That's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. I don't think you realize, and I'm saying editorially, most Americans, most people don't realize how fast this is coming, because even a few years ago, developing something like a quadruped robot or a bipedal robot was considered to be a technological near impossibility. It's difficult to get that down, to get that right. However, all of those technical problems have been solved, and that is coming very, very soon. These things will be relatively inexpensive, and they will be everywhere, and they're all tied into AI. And let's put it this way. The reason we are seeing the next generation of wireless communications coming online in the next few years, which is going to be 6G, is not just simply because you need better cell phone reception. It's all about bandwidth and speed of data transfer from the center to the edge. So when they talk about edge networking and edge computing, they're talking about getting that data out there to the edge. And the edge are these robotics platforms, be they drones or other kinds of robotics technologies. You'll be able to integrate centralized AI at the data centers with these edge tools, and you'll see the most depressing dystopian outcomes from this that will become possible and probably likely unless we're aware of these development trends. It's coming soon.
Absolutely well said. I was listening to Sirius in my car, whatever it is. I got the $3, offer. And I don't know what show it was, talking about whether or not people would be allowed to marry their robotics, and that robotics would be able to do anything that people could do by a certain year. Very frightening. When we come back, this is our third and final break. I want to talk, my concern, Dennis, is what the American people will allow, what type of government we will have. We have our government at the consent of the governed. My concern is, and maybe we can talk about your meeting in that quick 10 minutes, where NDAs are signed and power is given over. We've got to stop that and protect our children, and protect our future, our freedom, and our liberty. Stay tuned, everyone.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work, try to see a doctor this week, or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed.
That's you. All right. And we tell you about our frequency. We offer a variety of products on the show because everybody has different concerns, ailments, and different preferences in treating them. This one is if you're trying to get the best minerals, even in the produce you might be growing, your soil may not have the minerals. So this is just a quick eyedropper in a small beverage, and it is colored. You will see it, but I don't think you'll taste it. I don't. And it just helps you get those trace minerals we all need. You can go frequence.com/Tamara Scott for more of their products, including the EMF patches on your phone that stop you and your family members from getting some of those concerning EMF, what do you call them, waves. And so those are available in 2-packs and 5-packs, available at frequence.com/Tamara Scott. Dennis Buren is my guest today, author of The Endgame. Dennis, give us your website again as well.
You can find out more about the things we cover at AmericanDailyHerald.com.
AmericanDailyHerald.com. Now, I talked just briefly, and this will be the subject of a show tomorrow. These gloves, electric shock gloves, were apparently in use in schools, 29 schools, 4 different districts in Omaha area. June of 2025, they were folded into a budget, the city council meeting, $66,000. And yet, even though they've been used on students, 2 at least we know, 1 a special ed student, just really bad optic way. No matter how out of control the student was, just really bad optics. But parents weren't notified. No permission was given. They weren't even made aware to have a discussion with their kids. Taxpayers were unnotified. They didn't realize because it was folded in that budget. Quietly, they said without debate. School board said they never got a vote. They didn't give their approval. And the superintendent was unaware. He hadn't even been made aware of this program, apparently coming in through the resource officer. I am pro-police. I support my law enforcement. But I want to make sure they have the tools to do the job appropriately constitutionally and not be tempted into area problems like they have been with these flock cameras. This situation is a concern for me because it's an overreaching, authoritarian government. No one knows what this child did. We don't know what escalated, if something was said that escalated the situation, if it was handled well or poor. And I have people telling me, well, police will only use them with full constraint. BS. Sorry, we know everybody's human. Everybody, those split decisions, somebody could have the wrong decision, a dislike for a student. People are human. You can't say that. And we have nothing to prove how these were used or unused. But I don't want students thinking this is normal governance, and shame on parents for not guarding their kids. But how can you when you kept in the dark? Dennis, it kind of feeds to this secrecy. These NDAs with the data centers, the meetings that you went to, people handing over authority to government that is ours.
Yeah.
Responsibility that is ours.
And I think it happens more than most people know. And it's not necessarily just a phenomenon at the big city level, but maybe more pernicious. These things are taking place at the level of mid-sized American cities, even sometimes small American cities, and the public is not invited. And again, I'm speaking from direct knowledge. I can't really say names, and they really aren't even relevant anymore because this happened a few years ago. But I'm under a bit of a disclosure arrangement. I can't talk about some of the names of the people I saw at this particular event, but I was hired to bring in and do some internal coverage of a particular event that was billed to the attendees as a meeting to align stakeholders. You'll notice the World Economic Forum language, stakeholders there, local stakeholders in this mid-sized city around certain policies that would be desired to be implemented in that local area. So, and I say mid-sized city, we're looking at something in the 200 to 500,000 population. So the group putting this together came from out of state. In this case, another Midwest state came to this Midwest state, and the intended people to see this and be brought into alignment around these policy ideas were the mayors, city administrators, the top leadership of the financial apparatus of all the cities and counties in the area, as well as the leading industrialists and business leaders from the biggest of the businesses located in that region. And the idea was they would all get together into a large conference room, hear about these policies that should be implemented, bring in the people who were the subject matter experts on this, and have a hearing about how it's important that they be implemented for the future of the city and for the infrastructure of the city, and it must be done, and basically get everyone cheering, make them all feel special, like they're all part of the secret program, they're in the know, and they can do this, and it's going to be great for everyone, and then go forth and make sure these World Economic Forum policies get implemented in your city. And this was a traveling show, going from city to city to city all across the country to get the local people in mid-sized American towns aligned with doing the things that the liberal international policy elite wanted to see happen. I don't think this is an unusual circumstance. I think this is happening all the time. And I think that's how policy is getting directed and this is a non-governmental agency, by the way, so we're talking about non-governmental organizations, who they're all always aligned with, directing policy initiatives and cheerleading the ones they like secretly behind closed doors. The public wasn't invited to this party, and being there, the couple hundred people that I saw, none of them were from the local media. So there was no coverage of this in the media either. And yet from this event is going to emanate the types of policies that we're talking about here, whether it be, these shock gloves or, pro-COVID policies, all the kinds of things that result in the movement in general toward the implementation of things like flock cameras or the surveillance state, or ultimately 15-minute cities that we talked about earlier. These things are talked about behind closed doors. Agreement is reached. People are made to feel special, and then the average everyday citizen has no idea this is going on. So I know what happens. I've been there, seen it.
I've been there. I have not signed the NDA. I don't know that I would, but I've been in those meetings where they tried to push the immigration table. Remember that? Twisting scripture as to why we need to let the illegals in so we can witness to them and get them saved. Yeah, you don't have to tip people into sin so you can get them saved and tell them about Jesus. So so that's just another example. And let me just say this, and we're out of time, but Margaret Sanger bringing in the Black pastors to help them understand why they should have abortions readily in their people. Yeah. Same type of thing.
Exactly.
Destruction, bringing in their own people to bring in a message for their own destruction. I think with that, we can end. Dennis Behrend, thank you. It's fun to have you on the show. I never know where we're going to go, but thank you for being willing to go on that unknown journey with me. Thank you.
Always a blast, Tamara. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
To our viewers, I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope you had a pencil and paper out. I hope you found it helpful, Thomas. I think this is one that should go to YouTube. We certainly want this one to be able to forward it to all of our viewers. Tomorrow we'll talk about the gloves, another situation that took place already in a school here in Des Moines, West Des Moines, affluent neighborhood. We've only been in school a week and they already blew it. They already violated the code, according to many here in Iowa. As we tell you, live boldly, love better, laugh bigger, be encouraged, but you cannot be complacent.